All right, hello you. My name's Jonti.
And I'm Brandon, also known as V Squared, and this is This Week in Ink.
Each week we'll be wading through the Inklands to bring you the news and the views on all things Lorcana.
Coming up, we have our main segments, Main Street Market Watch, and You Made Me Ink.
And we'll be discussing the latest topics and taking opinions from the live chat. Hello,
live chat! Yeah, so this weekend we had a really large Lorcana tournament, the 8K in Georgia. There were some really cool decks that came out of that. We have Lorecast, right? Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
To talk about. That's happening this Wednesday, the first ever Lorecast. That's going to be really exciting. Essentially, Disney Lorcana will be streaming on their own Twitch channel and has stuff to reveal, I guess. They haven't really said anything other than you want to be there, so we have that to talk about. I don't remember what else we mentioned.
That's about it, really. I mean, the tournaments are going to take up a good chunk of the show today, I think, because Chanti's a bit quiet compared to Brandon. Well, that's because Brandon's noisy.
It's because I'm a loudmouth.
There we go. Hopefully that's better. Sorry. Yeah, so a lot of the stuff we'll be talking about today is the tournaments, because not only were they pretty big, I think it's a good at this point I feel like everyone's got the cards they want to play. Everyone's happy, like, you know, tuned decks and practice with decks. So I think we're really now starting to see what the Into the Inklands meta is looking like, as opposed to that sort of wild west of the first couple of weeks. The first couple of weeks of the of what the set looks like. You know.
Yeah, it's been pretty fun so far, this set. Like, it's kind of like you said, I think a lot of people have been waiting for cards to come in and things like that, but it feels like every weekend since literally the weekend that Inklands came out, there's been a slightly different meta, or like tournament results have looked a little bit different, and like same thing for this one, which I think is actually pretty exciting, because we're not seeing a dominating, you know, deck that's just taking over everything and completely, you know, muddying the meta, which is really fun, I think.
As commentators of both sort of games, but then also the larger picture of the game, it's really great to see some diversity, because there's only so many times you can talk about, you know, Ruby Amethyst, basically. So it is good to see. So we'll start off though talking about Lorecast. I do have a screen showing what that looks like. So Lorecast then is it's official. It's sort of launching the Disney Lorcana Twitch channel, which does exist, and you can go and click follow on it. There's nothing on there right now. RA is super interesting right now. Sure, it is, yes, but you'll know.
Yeah, I agree, you'll know,
right, friends, that you and Brandon sat there at just commentating a locals tournament and got pretty much struggled to think of interesting things to say of Red Room Amethyst by the 5th round.
Yeah. After about 3 mirror matches, there wasn't much more to talk about.
So, yeah. So yeah, there we go. So Lorecast then, they had to call it something. This week in ink was already taken.
Sorry.
So it is called Lorecast, and Brandon's splooge is covering it up a little bit there, but it's going to be 1 p.m. Eastern. That's 10 a.m. Pacific, which I guess is like 5 p.m. in the UK. So they're really trying to hit the Western world with this timing. So it is, it's daytime for America. Work time perhaps for a lot of people for America, but it does sort of cover all of the Western world, which I think is better, I think, because the few times they've done this sort of thing, they've done some of these on Discord, right? These sort of like little sort of slightly more impromptu feeling than this, I think, on Discord, but they've always been on a sort of late afternoon, evening, which has been very middle of the night basically in the UK. So I think it's good that they're aiming to hit more of a player base with these.
Yeah, I'm really excited about it, actually. It's nice to see them, as fun as the Discord main stages were. It's nice to see them step away from that a little bit and do something that's a little bit more, I don't feel like professional is the right word, but just like official. Yeah, maybe more official. Because I think this like sets them up for a lot of really cool stuff in the future. If they decide to live stream events in the future, whether they're fan events or competitive events, like they have a place to do it. They have places they can push people. I really like that this is just a centralized place that everybody can go to, and it's really accessible, really easy to link to, people to find for, as what I'm assuming is going to be big announcements coming. We don't know what they're doing yet, but like if they're revealing set 4, it's really easy to, just show everybody like this, because I remember for the main stages, people would always, especially the people that weren't in America, would always, like you say, mention it's the middle of the night, I can't make this, and so hope that somebody would record it, and I would usually end up recording it and putting it on my channel for people to find. But now, like, hopefully there's a thing people will be able to go back and watch, and I'm glad they're doing it in the middle of the day, because then mostly everybody should be able to watch it together, which I think will be really fun. So
yeah, and as great as Discord is as a way to sort of gather community, it isn't the most accessible thing, honestly. I think it's actually like it's it's quite tricky actually getting somebody to join a Discord. My store has a Discord that we encourage everyone to join for like matchmaking and finding games of what you're playing or whatever. But the link, our Discord link is like discord.com/xr67312466. And it's like it's written out on the business card. It looks gross, and it's just that it's not simple to get people to it. And then not only that, like I use Discord every day, but I remember the first time they said there was going to be a main stage, and I was like, what the hell's a main stage? Like I've even got to go and look up and make sure I wasn't missing that. So I think Twitch is massively more accessible than Discord. Yes, because you go to twitch.tv/Disney Lorcana. That's a web address. People understand how that works. You go here at 10 o'clock, there'll be a video playing, and you sit and watch it.
That's another thing. It's a simple link that I can just send people, and it pops up, and like you said, they watch it. With Discord, you have to make an account and join a server, and then when you're in the server, you got to go through everything to accept the rules, and then find where they're even doing the thing. And like, I don't think it's the most accessible. So I'm glad that they're doing this, just because I think it'll be easy for everybody to follow and be a part of, and it'll be fun to have everyone, or I say everyone, most people from the time zones around the world being able to participate. So I think it's going to be a really fun thing.
Yeah, it hits a much broader demographic. It's still, you're still kind of preaching to the choir a little bit with something like a Twitch live stream. It's still people who are invested in the game to an extent. Either that they're watching things like this, things like content creators, or they're following Lorcana on Twitter already, or they're in the Discord. You're kind of already hitting the sort of established demographic, but you're probably pushing it a little wider than you are on something like a Discord main stage or whatever they call it. So a few people in the chat then. Game piece set for reveal hype. SBR, maybe they'll announce a judge certification program. So you were saying then that they might announce set for. Are we pretending we don't know?
I don't know. I don't know. Like, I don't know what they're doing. So if I had to guess, we can go off of assumptions that for around this time in Rise of the Floodborn is when they revealed Into the Inklands.
It's actually a little late, I think, if you actually go to the day.
Which I'm fine with, because I remember when it happened as early as it did for Rise of the Floodborn. I'm like, I literally just opened my Rise of the Floodborn packs. Why are we already talking about the next set? It felt like a smidge early, but that could just be me. So I actually think this would be really great timing for set 4 stuff if they decide to reveal it, especially if they did it in the way that they did last set, where they just give us a little sneak peek trailer and maybe the name of the set, and then that's all. And then we just kind of wait in anticipation.
I'm trying to remember the timelines. I reckon if you go to Musha Report, it's probably all documented. But did we just get set 3 is called Into the Inklands, and then because then they showed us the Peter Pan, the Minnie Mouse, and the Piglet were the 3 cards that were revealed, weren't they? Was that then, or was there a gap between that?
It's a good question.
I can't remember.
Don't remember.
And also,
I remember there being a very short, just Into the Inklands teaser trailer.
It was just a zoom out of the Illuminary sort of floating, right? I think, or was that Floodborn? I don't know. They can't.
That was Floodborn. The Illuminary float out was Floodborn. This one was when they all zoomed out on their ink runners, and we were like, "What the heck is happening?"
Yeah. Title and location cards tease. Yeah, was that it? We just got it was called Into the Inklands, and they showed us Forbidden Mountain. Was that it? I kind of forget.
Oh, maybe that was it.
All goes into one, because then I also remember because I can't remember how it went with Rise of the Floodborn either. Did we get the name? Because the thing I remember when it comes to the announcement of Rise of the Floodborn was that there was the Gamer article with about 13 cards in it. It had Cinderella Stout-Hearted was revealed, and a few others. That's what I remember as the reveal. But there's a good chance that a week or two before that we actually found out the name, and it's all just sort of rolling into one. I honestly can't remember. So I don't know I don't know whether to expect set 4's called this or set 4's called this, and here's 10 cards from it. I don't know which. I'm kind of ready for both, but I don't know which it's going to be.
We may have gotten the cards, because for both sets, I usually put out a video as soon as it gets revealed and be like, oh my gosh, new set, because there's usually cards that come with it that are exciting. And I remember putting out one that had the Peter Pan and Piglet and all of those original ones. So I either could have waited, or it just all happened at once. I don't remember.
Yeah. The Lumineers make a good point there. So, for example, what is this called? If they reveal set 4 here, we'll remember where we are seeing it for the first time. Yeah, and kind of just knowing that's how it's going to work, and it isn't sort of trickled out, and it's there's a thing on the Discord, and then this website get it do it like this. Let's have a party. Let's all get together. We all know it's coming. We're all there. We're all hyped. I think that's I think it's a great way of doing it. And if we see one of these every 3 months, and that's how they announce the set, I think that's great. A lot of people saying, it's too early to do it. I'm still coming from a Magic point of view, where I know what the next 4 Magic sets are. I've seen cards from 5 or 6 months away in Magic. That's just what I'm used to. So it kind of weirds me out that I don't know what the next set is when a set comes out. That kind of, I'm not used to that.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest, this feels really good for me. Not coming from a Magic background, and I've talked before about my Pokemon background, and they usually know stuff beforehand. But I kind of like this pace that we're at, where I don't know the name of the next set. I know that it's coming, but we virtually know nothing about what's coming. Whether there's a new mechanic like locations, or what the set's theme is. It makes things like this more exciting in my opinion, because we have more to look forward to.
So
Yeah.
so while speculation time, then
Mm-hmm.
I'd be very surprised if we get a new mechanic just after like as in like a card type mechanic. I think we'll probably see a keyword perhaps.
Mm-hmm.
But I'd be very sorry to see a new mechanic just because of relatively recently. I think Steve Warner said a thing was like we don't necessarily want to bring in something new each set, and after having locations come in set 3, I think what more likely we're going to see is another dozen locations, and and maybe a new keyword, and then more stuff that's leading into some of the archetypes that are a little less fleshed out. Moving damage counters, rubies having your own things damaged. Like I feel like all of that that's probably what we're going to see is some support in all of that regard. Any thoughts on that? Do you think similar or?
Pretty similar. I remember that interview. I think it was from Kane's is when the interview happened, from Ryan or maybe Steve, one of the two. And where they had mentioned that like they're not trying to introduce something, like completely new every set. Which I really liked. I made a post about it when it happened. I'm happy that they don't feel the need to like implement something new and flashy and fun for every set, because I can see how that would progress the game really quickly to a state where it would be a little too advanced if they want to keep the game more accessible to like people newer to TCGs. So I wouldn't even be mad if there was no new keyword at all, much less like a new card. And it just was, like you said, fleshing out more of those archetypes that we've gotten little blips of here and there, whether it's, like you mentioned, moving damage or damaging your own characters. I'm sure there's others that I can't think of right now. But I think it would be fun to just see more like that and get those filled out for set 4. And, you can still introduce really fun, interesting characters, and you can still introduce really unique legendary cards and stuff to get excited about without having to introduce a whole new keyword that we all have to learn how it works, or how it meshes in with all the rules of the game that we don't have yet. So
I think that as well. That just more stuff that ties into locations. The only thing I think of is maybe there's like an Emerald Ruby actions matter that's always been trickling around, and I don't know whether it's missing pieces or if it just isn't good. I don't know, and I still feel like we're kind of missing a little something in Sapphire. I don't know.
Really?
I mean, it's just maybe I've just made my decision about
like Sapphire.
Yeah, maybe that's it. Maybe I've just made my decision about it. So the next question then is the other thing you just mentioned with the idea of a theme. Do you think set 4 is perhaps where we start seeing more of a theme to the set? Because I feel like Into the Inklands has probably been the most themed so far. There's a big explorer vibe to the set.
Yes,
both in the sort of the packaging artwork, a lot of the card artwork, just the vibe in general of bringing locations in. There's a lot of pirates. There's a lot of Treasure Planet and Atlantis cards. That all kind of fits into this sort of exploration theme. Do you feel like we're going to start seeing that become a little bit more sort of less diluted and a little bit more sort of specific?
I don't know. I think it will depend on what direction they want to take the story and how they are going to try to tell this while they're releasing the cards, because I think for Into the Inklands, it just made a lot of sense, right? Like Rise of the Floodborn was the flood of the Illuminary. Now everybody's like leaving the Illuminary and going to explore the Inklands, and it's really easy to make a set. I say easy, like it's not that easy, but like thematically it makes sense for them to just be like, yeah, everybody's explorers and they're out exploring the Inklands. So I think depending on what direction they want to take the story might depend on that, because for instance, I don't expect there to be like a mech set next set.
Wow.
Like I don't expect there to be anything that specific, but I could absolutely see them doing something where it's like we're giving you a little bit more information about the big bad, and like maybe the villains are like getting together in this set, and there's themes around that, and the heroes are like finding stuff out. I mean, like Mickey's getting further in his investigation on what's happening. I could see things like that, but right now at least, and I'm having a difficult time thinking of what the next set could be. Maybe it's an underwater set or something. We've seen
so that was gonna be
a couple cards like that.
That's gonna be my guess.
Yeah, like I could see something like that happening, maybe. But I imagine it would have to tie into the story somehow.
Yeah, but like, but the story it is right. Like all of the narrative pieces. It's Ursula.
Exactly.
It's Minnie Mouse diving down, and and then there's the storm. The Prince Eric has rode his boat into a storm or whatever. Yeah,
I say
it might be a bit too much of a. It might be a bit too much of a jump to go from like this sort of, because the story has been very light so far, and I'm sure it's going to ramp up at some point, but it has been very light so far. So maybe it's a bit of a jump to go from these first three sort of introductory sets into set 4, Under the Sea. Let's go. Like, but that wouldn't really surprise me. I think the Inkland's name announcement was December 6th with 4 cards announced. Yeah, so Into the Inklands was announced, and they showed off Forbidden Mountain, the Minnie Mouse Spelunker, Peter Pan, and and Piglet. That was the 4 cards. Yeah, that was the 4 cards they showed. Yeah. They are going to announce the digital platform. How much do you want to bet?
I don't think it's happening.
I will happily take your money.
I would be very excited if that happened, but I don't think it's going to happen. Yeah, I think, man, Under the Sea is a good call. That's where I'm placing my bets now. It's going to be Under the Sea, or like maybe not that specifically. I don't think
it's going to be like it's called Under the Sea and there's 204 cards of sea creatures. But I think, like Into the Depths or something like that, and you know what I mean. It's just like a more of a seafaring and sea exploration theme. That's gonna that's where I'm gonna put. That's where we'll hang this week in Ink. On that.
We'll come back next week hopefully
and see how wrong we
be able to say I told you so. told you so.
I personally think it's a good. I like it. I like a themed set, and
I do too.
Magic is moving more and more away from them, and they're getting more and more focused on IP stuff, and it just doesn't enthuse me. The most thing there's 2 Magic sets coming up this year, and I'm more excited about them than I have been from anything else from Magic in the last couple of years, just because of how heavily themed they are. One of them is it's called Outlaws of Thunder Junction, and it's a steampunk western set. And it just looks awesome. It's all they're all sitting there. It looks like Wild Wild West with Will Smith, if you remember that awful movie. But God, it looked good. All steampunky guns and mechanical arms and all this. And then a little bit further away, there's a set called Bloomborough, and it's all like forest creatures like hamsters and rats and squirrels and stuff, but they've all got like swords and shields and stuff. So like I'm more excited about both of those than any of the Fallout and Assassin's Creed and all of that sort of stuff. So so I'm really excited about both of those, and so I'm all in for a theme set. I like the idea of it, and give me and to me, when I first heard about the idea of the Inklands being these like separate, like actual physical areas that are generated within the world of Lorcana, that the first thing I thought of was like, oh yeah, take me to the Western set, take me to the desert, take me to the mountains, take me to the give me all of those theme sets. Like I'm all for it. So I mean, okay. So set 4 is pretty much a given, I feel, to be announced. What else do we think we could see?
I'd be surprised if there was no set 4. I have to imagine that the rest of the organized play or competitive stuff gets announced, hopefully with dates and locations, because we were told that would be announced by the end, like in March. And in Disney Lorcana fashion, or in Ravensburger fashion, they usually wait till the end of the month. And the 20th is close enough to the end. I would be a little bit surprised if they didn't announce this. So I would be surprised if there is not more information on on that. Like,
Mhm.
and like I said, hopefully dates and locations specifically, because I mean, we have most of the information we need for set championships, I think now.
Yeah, I
Um,
just waiting to know whether they're running it or
yeah,
not. Really, yeah.
but past that, so set championships are in the middle of April, and then uh, earlier in the year, or at the end of last year, we were told that the regionals would like begin in May, I
Mm.
think. So like we're already getting real close to May for people to be traveling and planning for regionals and things like that. So I'm
Mhm.
hoping that that's what's also coming, so that we can start planning for that.
Yeah, I completely agree. Yeah, I want dates and times really. Like I
Yeah.
think anything less is really cutting it fine. Um, for regionals, yeah. And then then there's other stuff that we're still kind of waiting on that I feel like would make sense. I don't know whether it's the sort of thing that necessarily has a big hurrah of an announcement, but with
Mm-hmm.
set championships and regionals just around the corner, I feel like a more complete rule set and perhaps a judge
Mm-hmm.
program,
Yeah.
both of which, like at least the beginnings of them, should be coming along now. Really, I think. I've said this before, and I'll say it again. I think that the store championships requiring a judge, the set championships, excuse me, requiring a judge, but not having a safety net or a support network for that judge is asking quite a lot of somebody personally.
Yes. Yeah,
So
I agree.
I really want to see something there. Like I'm happy to, I am judging events right now for Lorcana. I've got my play correction guide printed off.
Mm-hmm.
But it's very thin. Super tangent, but I'd be really interested to see what you think. I judged a 22 person tournament the other day. I only had a single call.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd love to know. I'd love to hear what you would have done.
Okay.
Okay, got called over. I got called judge. By the way, I saw somebody in the chat before say that they should be called law masters. They should be called judges. They just judge because I am not. I don't want people going lawmaster.
Lawmaster.
Judge is fine. um, so yeah, okay, got called over. Both opponents in good spirits and happy, just wanted to know what to do with the issue. Opponent B, player B, I guess, had correctly identified that player A played a cloud kicker on turn 2. So played a 3-costed character on turn 2.
Okay.
Right?
It was currently turn 2?
No, it was turn 5.
Oh no. Oh god.
Go.
With somebody that has literally 0 judge experience, no clue.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what I'd like would. Here's the first thing I would do. I would reference anything that's on the Disney Lorcana resources page first to see if there's like anything that covers this kind of stuff. I don't know if there is now. I'm not going to waste our time by trying to find it now.
Well, I can tell you. I can tell you what's there, but that's go on.
Okay.
Yeah.
If I couldn't find anything there that told me how to deal with this, God, I don't know. I don't even know how you fix that, because I mean, I guess you can rewind to turn 2 and then like reshuffle all of the cards. No, because you already have like a bunch of stuff in the inkwell.
Yeah, that's the problem. So the official line on sort of like an incorrect, just like a general incorrect play is to rewind if possible, and that's kind of standard for all card games really. The role of a judge always is to resume play with the least discrepancies as possible, right? Like just get it back to a point where play is correct. That's obviously incredibly difficult to do with the inkwell in this game. So after a couple of after a couple of turns like that, it's very difficult to play. The way I rectified it was the kit got shuffled back into the deck, because player A had to have some sort of penalty. The thing that kit bounced had been replayed. It had been that long,
Yeah.
So I had player A reshuffle kit back into the deck. and they both seemed happy, but I wasn't sure, and there was and like I say, the play correction guide didn't cover that. So and probably even a much more comprehensive rule set probably wouldn't cover that specifically. What happens when players notice a problem, feel like it's big enough of a deal to call a judge, but it's been 3 turns since it happened. It's a really difficult call.
Really hard to rewind that at all.
And both players were happy, and they carried on play. So, but yeah, it was a minor penalty. Well, it's classed as a caution, I think, and I gave him a caution, but like I'm not an event of that scale and size. I'm not really documenting those. Just watch yourself. The only other thing I caught was I was just happened to be watching a top table game, and a player cast Whole New World. The opponent drew 8 cards and didn't notice, but I just clocked it. I just happened to see them draw 8. I was like, "Can you just count your hand out for me?" And he was like, "Oh God, no!" But he's and then one of them players that did.
They're like,
it's infuriating. I can't. If you are a player, don't stop it.
I can't do it correctly.
I know they do it so quick, but they sit there and do this constantly, and it drives me insane. Anyway, he'd done that 4 times in the 3 seconds I noticed that there was 8 cards. Franz, I know you do it. Anyway,
I think it's fine so long as you're aware and it's not annoying. I've sat next to people that I've had it's not even my game. I'm playing a different game, and I'm like, please stop. Like, I can't focus on anything over here.
Infuriating. And the only time I'd ever get it is if the cards bounce back to your hand. Sure, let them not see what position it's in. Like, technically, I get it, but oh my God, just
I would rather you bring a different fidget toy and put your hand down and fidget with it. It's less disruptive. It's just anyway. So he'd done this 4 times in the 3 seconds. I feel like I saw him draw 8, and he was like, "Oh, I've drew 8. Do I put one back?" And I was like, "Hold on." After the Whole New World's being cast, are you done with your turn? And the opponent was like, "Yeah, I'm all done." He's like, "Okay, cool. It's your turn. You don't draw." Like, that's it. Like, easy fix. Fine. Easy fix. Yeah. You now have the 8th card. You have the one you drew anyway. That was it. That was the only 2 times I had to do anything other than just run the event, so it was fine. But yeah, it just really chuckled me when it was like, they took me over. Rochelle says I do it, and I also hate it. At least you're self-aware, Rochelle. That's important.
That's great.
That's funny. I will say though, this does kind of bring up something. Mm-hmm. I am eager to see if any stories come out from set championships if we don't see a judge program or comprehensive rules, because it's like I said last time, I play this game almost every day, and I don't know how to correct these areas. I would be one of the first people to volunteer as a judge at my store if they really needed to do something like that. And I'm fairly certain that the people that are managing and running the store aren't paying so much attention to the game that they know the ins and outs of it. Mm-hmm. So I'll be interested to see if there's any stories from the weekend of judge calls being made and weird stuff happening or things not being handled correctly.
The only thing I will say about judge calling really is that 9 times out of 10, the call is very rarely because the players don't know the game or know how a card interaction would play out. It's very rarely that. Occasionally you'll be called because there's just a couple of things need to go off at the same time, and that's the only thing with this really with Lorcana is that there'll be a couple of triggers from everything dying, and people have got the idea of a stack in their head from Magic usually, and so you're just having to go over and explain to them, no, think of it as a bag of marbles, it's that's how it gets done. So you do get it occasionally. 99% of the time a judge call is, I've made a mistake, how do I back up, or they've made a mistake, how does this get fixed? Usually that's usually what a judge call is, and that stuff doesn't come naturally from playing the game lots. That that's more about knowing what the game wants you to do to rectify those issues, and that's where the only way you get those is from comprehensive rule sets, really. So yeah, very much looking forward to them. Feel like they're needed, especially like you say with the larger official and higher stake events. Like we're going to look at a moment to an event where pricing was $8,000. So the high stake stuff is already there, but I'm talking, like officially, 50% of the calls are because the player didn't shuffle before drawing off the Ismet. It's usually things like that. I've played this incorrectly. How does that get fixed? Yeah, so it is what it is. All right, do we want to move on to You Made Me Ink?
Yeah, if there's nothing else that I can't think of anything else that I expect from the Lorecast, really, other than OP and set 4. I don't think.
Yeah. In the 4 things we mentioned, that from top to bottom, in the likelihood of them happening for me, it's set 4, OP announcements, comprehensive rules, judge program. They're like that's the 4 things I would like to see, and in that order, I think they will happen. Yeah. All right, cool. Let's move on. You Made Me Ink. So yeah, I didn't particularly have one this week. I didn't play the game much. I like I say, my Saturday was taken up running an event. And you were saying that your events, you're in like a sort of what I would call like a slow grow league, where you where you build up a deck.
Yeah, at the very beginning of Inklands, we all picked a starter deck. We opened it, opened our pack, and then each week, including that week, we get 2 Lorcana packs. We can put in whatever we pull from those Lorcana packs. Doesn't matter what the ink color is. So we've just been doing that. I think this week, tomorrow, will be our last starter deck or slow grow like league, and then we'll move on to other stuff. We're going to try a street wrap format the week after that. I think, with just commons and uncommons. So I'm eager to see how that plays out. I've been looking at the card pool, and I'm not too sure how good it's going to be, but we'll see. So yeah, this is our last week for that. I didn't have a You Made Me Ink either, Frank, kind of because I pulled a legendary Robin Hood and a foil super rare Madame Medusa in the same pack for last week, and played both of those in my deck and saw them almost every game against everybody else's starter decks. And so I ended up doing pretty well last week, and there wasn't really anything that gave me trouble. So I didn't have one.
You've said that much in a much nicer way than you messaged me about it.
I'm being nice because there are people from the league in the chat.
the whole point of You Made Me Ink is where we sort of show off a card that's done well, but not because it's done well for us, it's because it's done well against us. And I was like, I haven't really played much this week, so I haven't really got one. How about you? And Brandon was like, no, man, I've just trounced everyone all week. I
was like, I won all my games. There's nothing.
Nothing can compare to the
power. So, yeah. Didn't really have anything that gave me issues. And, like, it being slow grow, like, you're not seeing a lot of the super strong cards anyway. It's kind of a, did you pull good stuff in your pack, and have you been able to deck build efficiently, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah. So this week's You Made Me Ink then is a card that's kind of sort of given the meta issues.
Yeah.
And it's Lucky Dime. So this is a 7-costed uninkable item in Sapphire. Number 1 is its ability. You can exert it and pay 2 to choose a character of yours and gain lore equal to their lore value. This is a legendary card. It was the first non-character legendary, first and only non-character legendary we've seen in the game so far. It's had an interesting journey, this card, because it was one of those ones that when it was showed off, I think everyone went crazy about it. And then I think when it was very first announced, people went crazy. And then very quickly the hype died. Very quickly the hype sort of really fell off. and until Saturday, like the hype was non-existent. This was a how much did you say you paid for your ones of these?
$3 for all 4 of them. Got them all for $3. Well, never mind. I pulled one of them and I paid for 3 for the rest. So $9 total on all mine.
So you can you can see how people felt about this card, and it just goes to show you how a couple of interesting tournament results can really affect the value of a card, because this over this weekend has kind of exploded. We are going to go from this straight into Market Watch, where we're going to take a look at how it's doing. But so what is it? Why is it suddenly good?
I think it's because the meta slowed down. Like, we'll get into some tournament coverage of this weekend, but if I remember last week, there was a good deal of Ruby Amethyst, but there was also, I think, Sapphire Steel was relatively popular. So we saw a lot of Sapphire specifically coming into the meta. And Sapphire in general is just a slow ink color. It's hard to... I haven't seen a very effective deck played Sapphire and wasn't trying to ramp and do a lot of other stuff. And so once Sapphire Steel came in to sort of challenge Ruby Amethyst, Ruby Sapphire came in to challenge Sapphire Steel, and then you just kind of had an amalgamation of like really slow, I say really slow, but like slower control decks. And I'm trying to think, I try to keep up with a lot of other competitive like areas, and I'm trying to remember what when everybody started putting themselves on Dime, because it kind of snuck up on me. I'm not gonna lie. There were a couple people that I saw that were like, I'm testing Dime and Ruby Sapphire, see how it works, but I wasn't seeing anybody like just saying this is a really good card, everybody should be running it. But the more that I saw it played, specifically in Ruby Sapphire, the better the card got, because in a lot of the Sapphire decks that I was playing, including Sapphire Steel, towards the late game, you have more ink than you like know what to do with. Very often do you get up to 12, 14 ink, and like every turn is you playing 2 expensive characters or removing stuff, bouncing stuff, whatever you need to do. And so I think people said, oh, okay, I know. Sorry, I'm rambling a little bit, but I'm gathering my thoughts. Item removal. There was a huge lack of item removal in the meta. Locations became very popular, really big. A lot of people started playing things to counter locations and have done so pretty efficiently. Like Maui plus Maui's hook is just a really good combo that works even if locations aren't a thing. And Rise of the Titans saw more play for items. I don't know if that was enough for item removal, but like there were virtually no binges, virtually nothing else that interacted with items, or Judy Hops from Sapphire. So I know Ruby Amethyst players started playing spellbooks, sorcerer spellbooks. So we'll see that in some of the meta stuff later. And then I think the Sapphire players said, hey, let's get on Dime and try this out, because Sapphire players were already running cards like Gaston, that was a really good card in general for that deck, because it was just a great way to find what you needed, refill your hand. But also he had 4 lore. He wasn't a Madame Medusa target. And so when you have when you have 15 ink already, because you're playing Fishbone Quills and all other kinds of stuff, you can play a Gaston and you can play Lucky Dime, and you can gain 3 lore right there. And if they don't answer one of them, that's
the 3 lore on Gaston
6
is nothing
lore
to be sniffed at, really. Like you say, you look at him and you feel like the values in his ability, but 3 lore is just it's just good. The one thing I noticed the most about Lucky Dime in the builds that it's sort of settled into this weekend is it's not the sort of the combo piece that I think originally people thought it was going to be. It's not the I play this with the 4 lore things and and gain the lore that way. It is seeing play more as a Sapphire spellbook. It is more of a this just kind of sits there, and just sort of accrues the chipping damage of 2 2 extra lore each turn and just helps Sapphire get over the finish line in much the same way that the spellbook does with Amethyst. So that's, I'll be honest with you, I completely miscalled it. I saw this card and totally put it down as a crazy wacky combo piece, the top end of an item deck. But no, it's not. Don't let the 7 cost on Inkable fool you. You're able to do that on Sapphire relatively consistently.
I think, like you said, a lot of people saw the card and they were like, to make it happen in one turn, you have to have 9 ink. You also have to have something on board, a lot of really expensive stuff. But I've noticed in a lot of the games that I've watched and the games that I've played that just having Lucky Dime on board, if you can take a single turn off to play Lucky Dime and be okay, and just like have that threat of I'm at 15 lore, but Lucky Dime's sitting on the board, so I can play literally anything and immediately gain lore from it.
Yeah,
it's just huge if you have the time to do that. So I'll be honest, I wasn't expecting the card to be to make this big of an impact in the meta so quickly. But there's a reason I bought 4 Lucky Dimes at $3, because I thought the card at some point was going to be really good, and I wanted to get it while it was cheap. So I was surprised to see it happen so quickly. And I'll be honest, I'm really eager to see how the meta adapts to this.
Yeah,
because lots of items coming back. Yeah, I don't know. Do we see Benjas coming back? Do we see aggro decks start popping up to just win the game before Lucky Dime can do anything? I think it's going to be really interesting. And honestly, I've been loving this set for that reason. It feels like every weekend something new comes out and people adapt to it, and we get a whole new slew of stuff that gets played in response.
And talking of picking it up for $3, we'll swiftly shift into Main Street Market Watch. As we can see here, the Lucky Dime is now sitting at $15.
Yeah,
is the cheapest one. Am I on the US? Yeah, $15. So it's quintupled in price.
Yeah, crazy. I don't think it'll stay this high unless it continues to be good, and I don't expect it to be bad. Like I've again, don't take our advice. All the good. We're not financial advisors. But I expect the card to like go down a little bit. I don't expect it to hit $3 again until it just becomes really irrelevant. But at least for now, it's become enough of a threat that I feel like Sapphire players will constantly be going, can I get away with, playing a Lucky Dime? And when item removal gets sparse.
Yeah, there's a lot of these sold today. My goodness. Oh wow.
Yeah, I got I think my last bit of like bulk or like singles in the mail today, and it just made me smile when I saw the Lucky Dime, one of the Lucky Dimes that I had bought in the envelope.
Yeah. Wildcat. I forgot about him. I thought he was going to be. He just hasn't really been needed. I don't know whether it's enough for him to see play nowadays. Like I say, I think what the actual answer is more likely going to see a bit more of another sort of ebb and flow into an aggro thing that just tries to win the game quicker. I feel like that's probably what we'll see. And actually saying that, we will see a few aggro decks in the top lists in a moment. That have done pretty well. So the only other one I wanted to mention in Market Watch was the only other card I can find that's increasing in value right now, and that's Rafiki Mystical Fighter. Not the little graph you see here makes it look like it's a much more extreme growth than it actually is. But this has gone from basically 50 cents up to about $2, $3. So not insane, but yeah, like pretty much the only other card I can find at the moment that's actually going up quite a bit in value is Rafiki Mystical Fighter, and it's pretty much been going up since release, really. So
I mean, Rafiki's just a good card. He's like Amethyst Captain Hook. He's run in a lot of Ruby Amethyst decks, and the only decks I don't see Rafiki being ran in right now that are Amethyst, or ones that are just all in on aggro,
Just
and
a
they're
real
deciding to
aggro
run
thing, yeah.
Pascals and all the other kind of stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a really good card.
You'll run like Maleficent Binding of Time over this probably, right? Like this is if you're going really aggro, but otherwise, oh man, I'm playing a relatively aggro, but more of an aggro tempo really, Emerald Amethyst list, and it's running Rafiki. It's just great. I like he just comes down and just sits there, and he's like, yeah, go ahead, turn something sideways, see what happens. You know, he's here to die.
Yeah, and like the things that I love so much about cards like this is they're fine. They're okay late game too, right? Like just to throw one on board, because he's gonna deal. He'll deal 3 damage to whatever you exert, and that does, that's pretty big to a lot of things. So you can trade up pretty easily, and it's not at a huge detriment if you play him and then he gets removed by something else because it's only 1 ink. So
sure. Yeah, you'll take it something. I wonder if that second bit about the hyenas is ever gonna matter.
How are hyenas going to tie into the underwater theme of next set? Because we've got to be getting hyenas.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's a really good point. Actually, that's a really good point. They're all there with like big divers helmets on, paddling, doggy paddling.
Yeah. That would be fun.
Rafiki creates standoffs the same way that Hook does in Steel. Yeah, exactly that.
Yeah,
like it's just I don't mind not getting a lore off this. It's stopping you questing with your thing. Like
we all know Amethyst needed the help, right?
Oh yeah, well, he was really struggling before this card.
Yeah, I will say another market watch thing I just noticed. We don't have to go too deep into it, but I think is comical. Maybe not comical. It's not comical at all. Interesting. Is Ursula's going down a good bit after being so expensive.
Yeah.
For a while, and even Robin Hood has gone down. He's gone down closer to $30, where he was hitting 40 at some point.
Yeah, that's quite a chunk down there of Ursula, which is quite interesting.
Yeah, I like bragging about how I got my lucky dimes for $3, and how good of a spot I'm in now.
But mention how much Ursula's cost.
Yeah. I paid way more for those Ursulas than they are now, so it all evens out, I guess.
Yeah, it all comes out in the wash. As long as you're using them and having fun with them, I don't really worry about it too much, really.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll move into some tournament stuff in a minute, but I got a pack to crack. Have you got a pack to crack?
I forgot. No, I don't have a pack to crack.
Well, I do.
Man, I was so worried about getting here on time today. I didn't even think about running to the store and grabbing a pack.
That's fair. So last week's pack was pretty weak.
Yeah, it was pretty weak.
So I would like to see a better showing this week. We start off strong with a distract. 2-drop action. Nottingham, the
location,
the 2-drop location. Voyage, Flotsam, Bestow a Gift.
Okay.
Boss's Orders. So far, this package is trash.
It's really bad.
Okay. First uncommon makes it a bit better. It's the Ursula Deceiver.
Okay.
So we're getting rid of songs with this. It's probably the draft pick, although you don't necessarily see songs so much in draft. 3-drop Hydros. I'd probably draft in this at the minute. 2/2/2. Where you can exert something. Yeah, it's quite draftable. The 3-cost Queen of Hearts, not draftable, but I still think there's a home for this card. It might not be there yet. No. I think
it's just not good.
No, I think it is. I don't think it's there yet, but it's coming. It's coming.
I agree. It'll be there eventually. It's one of these sets.
I apologize in advance. I'm not purposefully trying to be cryptic for the chat here, but the last thing we talked about the other day. I'm doing something with this for that. That's super cryptic.
I have no idea what you're talking about. It'll come to me later.
The last thing we were told about.
Okay.
I'm doing something with this for that.
Okay.
Our first rare is Peter Pan Pirate's Bane. 4/5 with Rush. 4/5 with Evasive, 2 Lore, and let's Pirates do something. I don't know. I've got no idea. Oh, geez. A second rare is Mufasa, the 3/10 with 3 Lore, and and my foil is a Baboom. Woof.
Yikes.
So what's draft pick there then? Is it Peter Pan? I think it's the Peter Pan, isn't it?
Yeah, probably Peter Pan.
Peter Pan or Hydros. Although, no, Mufasa's 7 is too expensive. Maybe if it was 6, I probably would have picked him.
No, it might be Baboom, actually.
Yeah, Baboom, just because it's a bit of removal.
Yeah.
It's only 2, though. I suppose it might help finish off a location if they do drop something like a Scrooge McDuck Manor or whatever it is. It might actually just help get it there. I think they're probably the 3 I would pick. Oh, where's the camera? There's the camera. They would be my draft picks. But if only Brandon had a pack.
I know. Guys. I'm sorry.
Foil drafting.
I'll get one next week.
Boom.
Everyone yell at me as soon as you see me tweeting about This Week in Ink next week on Monday. Just be like, "Don't forget your pack." Tweet at me.
I feel like we might not need the filler next week.
Well, we can't just stop.
Oh my god, really? I've got to have a pack for every week.
You still have 4 packs, don't you, to open?
I got 3.
Or 3?
Here. Tell you what. I have this. I've never had as much patience in my life as have those sat in front of me all week on the computer desk.
There's a reason that all of the packs that I have available to me are sealed in something still. Because if it was open, it would be over.
You'd just be cracking them. I'm doing it for the content, folks. I'm doing it for the content. It's a 5-episode.
You're foil drafting, so it's Baboom.
I don't foil draft. I don't value draft.
One more.
No, not one more. All right, should I do one more?
You should do one more because I forgot one.
All right, I'll do one more. We'll
Brandon. Pretend like this one was mine.
Okay. All right, ready? Hi, y'all. I'm opening a pack now.
There's no way that's how I sound. There's no way.
All right, this one better be better now. Rochelle's made me open this one, so it's got to be good. One of those is Brandon's pack. Yeah, this one's Brandon's pack. Repair.
Okay.
Chief Tui. Moana Evasive, current draft pick. Strike a good match, actually, probably current draft pick now. The 2-cost Vanilla Magica Dispel. The 3-drop action, heal what has been hurt. Uncommon is Prince John. The uninkable 5-drop 2/4, 2 Lore. Chernobog's Followers is now my draft pick.
Oh yeah, that's pretty good.
And Rolly is the 3rd uncommon one.
Steven is going crazy in chat, dude. I'm sorry.
You might all open them now. Oh, first rare is a Queen's Castle. Instantly better than the last 2 packs.
Dude, my pack is so much better than yours.
Can't believe I'm going to send this to you now, like legally.
Yeah.
Say something about Helga. Why, it's going to be a Helga. Oh, a legendary Hydra.
Whoa, there you go.
It's a hell of a pack.
Cool.
And a Friar Tuck foil. There we go. That means the next 2 are going to be trash.
Is it better? Yes, it's better, Franz.
Is it better? I mean, yeah. Yeah. Yeah,
overall the pack is definitely
those
better.
2 are better, yeah.
The Queen's Castle and Hydra is probably 3 times the amount of money from that pack than the last one.
Yeah, but like by however you judge it, like value, constructive playability or limited playability, this is a better pack than the last one. Stop being a contrary so and so to like yes, this is better. Brandon's pack is great. Get good, Jonti, right? I'm just trash at opening packs, I guess.
Should let me open them next
terrible.
time. No, Steven.
Oh, Steven with the $2 donation, one more pack.
Doing it. Oh my god!
To be honest, Steven, I'm gonna say that a pack is a lot more than $2. So you want to open more, you gotta pay for them.
Especially Canadian, dude.
Yeah, right. $9.
Like $10 over there.
$9, yeah.
Are they really $9?
$8.99, yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
My so I will shout my LGS real quick. They do something pretty awesome for the starter deck thing. We get 2 Into the Inklands packs for $5 every week, just for the
I mean, they're selling them at
starter deck.
cost. Then they're just selling those at cost to get you in
Yeah.
the door, basically. Like, and that's fine.
Hey,
like, as long as you know that, like, that's not the price to expect everywhere.
Well, and I think they want
I
to
appreciate
sell
it,
the
Stephen.
starter
Don't be
decks
silly,
too.
thank you.
So it's like you have to buy the starter decks and do the starter deck thing to even get the packs. But it's cool. They're bringing people in. There were 14 last week.
Oh, no way. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's really good.
So.
That's great. Yeah, double figures is... Oh, awesome. There it goes. There's one more pack. I don't know why it's so delayed.
On stream.
Yeah. I can't fix that, I don't think. I found packs at the big box store this week for the first time. It was wild. It still weirds me out now seeing it in the wild, honestly. Yeah, still seeing it out there. Still kind of blows my mind a little.
I was actually really surprised. I went by my Walmart to see if they stocked Inkland stuff early, because they have stocked Lorcana stuff early before, and I was just eager to look. There was a ton of Rise of the Floodborn stuff still there.
Yeah.
Like, it looks like it hadn't been touched.
Oh, wow.
I bought a couple Inkland stuff, but no sealed product, just blister packs. But yeah.
The problem with Floodborn at the moment is probably anyone who doesn't know what it is still wandering past it, right? Until the word gets out there a bit more. Anyone who does know what it is knows that there's not that much value in opening Floodborn, right? There's a good chance that you really
beast
don't hit much, yeah,
or nothing.
Enchanted, and that's it. It's because you transitioned. I think you have to think you have the effect. Oh my god! It's because you transition. Think you have the effect locked on OBS. Oh, yeah.
That's what you get for talking funny earlier.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know. It's the alert box.
Are you using like Stream Elements or Streamlabs or whatever for it?
The alert box.
Sometimes that's just buggy. Yeah,
I think it's just delayed. Yeah.
Yeah.
Somebody donate more money so we can see. We need to do some testing.
If they donate enough money, I'll open one of those gift sets or one of the D100 sets behind me.
Oh my word!
There's 3 over there.
What an offer! I'm not gonna go get mine. Mine are all locked away.
I don't even have a setup for it. Don't do that. I can't move the camera. It'd just be like this. It'd be horrible.
All right. So let's take a look at some tournaments then. I've got 3. I'm going to put them in a different order than the notes, if that's okay. I'd like to do the Hunter Burton Memorial one first.
Yeah.
If that's okay. So let me get back to screen share. So we've got a few tournaments to look at there. This is the first one we wanted to look at. The Hunter Burton Memorial. This happened in, I want to say Texas.
I think it was Houston, Texas.
Because it's near where Liam and Erin are, right?
Yeah.
So they were there for this.
Oh my God, Steven.
Steven's paid for a pack. Does that mean I've got to do it? Yeah. I don't like the precedent I'm setting that every time somebody donates $8.99 and says do a pack, I have to do one.
Do it just this time, and
all
then
right.
no more.
All right.
Steven already gave you the money.
Okay, thanks.
And then we'll move on. Steven's a great supporter anyway.
He is. This is true. I need to reply to him about a DM that was happening that I never got back to him about as well. So I apologize.
You guys complain so much about how late we go. And look at you now, just delaying the show.
On. Oh my God, did I see some shiny there? I didn't. It's okay. All right. Captain Amelia, Chief Tui, Milo Thatch, Strike a Good Match. I'm rhyming. The Queen, Kida, Little John is the first uncommon. Hey is the second one. How Far I'll Go is the third. I think I'm still taking Strike a Good Match here. Map of Treasure Planet is the first rare. It's just come through there. See, it wasn't the transition. It's just a timing thing, I think. Magica Dispel and On Your Feet Now is the foil rare. This could be good one day, I think. On Your Feet Now, honestly, it's probably a little expensive. For unlinkable, but All-night pack opening stream coming when? I mean, I could do it for set 4. I've got
Man, if you guys would watch the freaking videos where I open a lot of product, I'd absolutely be down for something like that. But those don't get the views, do they?
Oh, wow. I didn't realize that pack opening came with a side of salt.
That was all a joke, by the way. I'm not really that salty about it.
Pack yeah, see the winner. So you always stop one before you do stop. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Always stop one before you do. But you never know till you're there. So the Hunter Burton Memorial Lorcana Championship in Houston. Wanted to mention this one because, first of all, it's for a fantastic cause. I think a lot of the money raised goes to suicide prevention, which is obviously a awful thing in any walk of life, but it definitely is something that hits younger men in particular, which is also a big demographic of gaming. So it's something that I think a lot of people in the gaming community have been affected by in some way or another. I personally have a few friends who we've lost to suicide, and it's a fantastic cause. And I think it's really awesome to see, and something we should definitely support. I think it's been going for a long time with Magic, and I think this is the first time they've done it with Lorcana as well. I think. So I hope this continues and grows into something huge. Saying that, this looks like a set 2 tournament. A lot of Ruby Amethyst here, which is kind of why I wanted to sort of look at it and move on to something a little bit more spicy as far as the actual decks are concerned. But yeah, no, this was a fantastic event, and it looked like everyone had a really great time. The winner was Lorcana Bro with a Ruby Amethyst build here that we can look at, and not really, just Ruby Amethyst.
I'm doing a quick scan, and I mean, it's pretty standard.
Yeah. The only thing I've heard a lot this weekend about Madame Medusa not putting in as much work because it seems like a lot of decks are taking against her. And I've heard the same about I've heard Pinocchio started to trickle back out again there. He sort of came up a little and then is already wandering back off again. But other than that, this is a slight variation on a theme, right? Teeth is back. 3 teeth.
That's another one that I was going to mention. I've heard people wavering back and forth on whether Teeth is worth playing or not. I don't know if it's worth playing or not. In this slow meta, I don't think it is.
No, I've removed it from my Ruby Amethyst build. It's just hitting less and less. It's as simple as that. It's just taking out less stuff all the time. Yeah.
It's just one of those cards. I mean, we saw it in set 2 where it's like it sees a lot of play because it hits a lot of things, and then people stop playing those things, and then it falls out, and they'll come back, and typical meta cycle.
Just sort of cycles around, right? Second place for this one was a Steel Song build. Seen Flute again. We saw a lot of Flute this weekend. Yeah,
Flutes are back, man.
Which is really interesting to see. Just items in general really have had a strong weekend back. So this one's interesting. I just want to do a quick uninkable count on this. 1, 4, 8,
oh God,
9,
here we
10,
go.
11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. 16.
Yeah, that's about my limit.
Yeah. It's Teeth back, but no Prince Eric. Interesting. Yeah, I think Teeth and Eric is like can be really clutch, but it's it's also a 2 for 1, 2 for like it's not great card advantage value. So, but if it's the only thing you've got to get rid of a thing, then it is what it is. But cowards. I know, right? 6 uninkables. Rookie numbers. So it's just both Flute back and Benja back here as well. Just sort of like a good medical, I think, there, just because of how items have come in. And I like seeing a lot of these cards. I'm a big fan of a lot of these cards are like pet cards for me. I really love the Queen, the 5-drop Queen. I think
we saw a lot of her this weekend.
I think she's just great. I think she's just a great fun card. Anything else there particularly you want to have a look at?
World's Greatest Criminal Mind is an interesting tech because there's a couple stuff in Ruby being played that I can hit, but also Tamatoa saw some play in Sapphire, so it hits him as well. But it's weird because World's Greatest Criminal Mind, in between World's Greatest Criminal Mind and Madame Medusa, is a plethora of cards that are seeing play. So it's kind of funny that just that 4 strength is like the sweet spot to be in that nothing can touch.
Yeah. Sorry, somebody's pointing out it's 20 Linkables. You're right. I miscounted. I don't know what I didn't count. I think I might have missed Along Came Zeus. It is. It's 20 Linkables in this one. Yeah.
Okay.
Which is more like it.
My God.
I do think Steel Song is probably the only deck that can manage it.
Outside of a hyper aggro deck. I think so.
Just because of the Uninkables, like low costed Uninkables, obviously, hold a different weight than higher ones, and singable Uninkables hold a much different weight as well. And a lot of the Uninkable stuff here is because it is also singable. Yeah.
And this deck's a little bit different, but we'll talk about one later where and I think this still applies, but also Steel Song is often looking to shift characters pretty quickly too. So when your highest shift cost is 5, and the majority of them are 2 or 3, I think you can also get away with it there too. You can usually shift for cheaper.
But yeah, otherwise, pretty standard stuff. It's nice to see Cogsworth and Friends coming in there. Very sort of, again, nothing mind blowing there really. We'll move on then to CCS, Charlie's Collectibles Show. There was 2 tournaments of note here. The main one being a big 8K prize pool tournament, and then there was also I think it was originally a 1K, but it got bumped up to a 2K just because of how much interest it had. So we'll take a look at the 8K first of all. Huge tournament, 226 players. Really, I say really varied. Looking at the top 8, half of it is sort of Ruby Amethyst. All of those were straight out in the cuts top 8. Which is kind of crazy.
It's comical.
Yeah.
Like when I look at this, I just think it's really funny to see all those Ruby Amethysts that didn't make it through.
Yeah. Is this the one with the Bivens flex? Yes.
Yes, we will get into that.
We'll take a look at in a moment. But first of all, we'll take a look at the first place going to Zan. Went 10-1 in the 10 wins and a draw. In the Swiss, and then topped the top 8 with a Steel Song deck that again is running that play suit of Flute and 21 Uninkables.
Yeah.
Check them out.
21 right after I don't know, I feel like there was something, didn't we mention that last stream or something about Inkables? I don't know, maybe not.
I tweeted
that's right. You tweeted something.
Play 20 Uninkables, you cowards.
Yeah. And then everybody memed on you.
Zan clearly heard me and went and changed his deck. But yeah, again, I do think that probably like other than a real aggro deck that can get away with running the 4 Maleficents, 4 Lilos, that kind of thing. I think this is probably the only deck that can really get away with it, honestly. But yeah, really, great, just solid build, just value at every turn on this one. I think just everything you want to see.
Yeah, I mean, this deck has a lot of, in Steel Song fashion, has a ton of great opening lines because you can shift Robin Hood, you can shift Queen, you've got Ariel early to sing, and like worst case scenario, you play your Hades and loop stuff back that you need if you can't find your whole new worlds or any of that kind of stuff. And almost everything in the deck is singable, so you're not having to play a bunch of stuff. You're just singing it. So really cool deck. I think it's interesting, like, I feel like for this set, Amber Steel hasn't gotten the maybe respect or talk that it deserves because it keeps performing. Like Ruby Amethyst is probably majority like taking out the top 8, but Amber
Mhm.
Steel just keeps performing, like keeps taking tournaments.
Is winning stuff, or coming really high up there. Yeah, it feels like it just doesn't have the PR that Ruby Amethyst has. I don't know,
Yeah.
like it's consistently doing as well. Just you're just not seeing it as much, but every time you do see it in the right hands, it's doing well.
Yeah.
No Sad Beast, I think is
No Sad Beast, yeah.
To be honest with you, haven't seen much of him this
No.
weekend really, and I do wonder whether it's just down to the risk of Medusa, maybe.
I think it
Yeah.
is. I think a lot of people have realized that playing Beast, a lot of times he doesn't live because not only is there Medusa, but Along Came Zeus is still very prevalent and takes him out immediately. And so, like, I feel like you're just not getting the value out of Beast that you used to. And especially, I mean, there's a lot of the steel removal stuff as well. So, yeah, I don't blame people for cutting Beast. I thought, like, the way people have treated that card, I thought I was crazy for thinking at one point that like he just needs to be cut because of so many things that hit him. So it's a little bit encouraging to see that be reflected in some of these top decks. Decks.
Well, I think and you've got the Robin Hood there also with the 3 strength. Can get hit by Medusa, but the difference is that Robin Hood for the most part is going to come out and do something. And doesn't get hit by the Zeus. So those are 2 positives towards it against the Beast, because Beast, still so often you put it down and say go, right? Like you play it on 5 and say go. Yes, it's it's great value when it sits there for a turn or 2, but it's still a bit of a do nothing turn, which is the reason I've never been a huge fan of him, really.
Yeah, I mean, that's what made me undervalue him a lot in Rise of the Floodborn, was for the same thing. He's just every card, any card that can't be shifted or doesn't have an efficient shift target, and doesn't do something when it's played, immediately just makes me question like how good the card really is, what its ceiling is. For what you just said, like the reason Robin Hood is in this deck, it's a great card when he survives, but you can sing a whole new world on turn 3. When Robin Hood's in the deck, and like that's one of the things you're aiming to do with this deck. Where Beast is never going to do that in this deck. The only way Beast can get away with that is if you're playing an Emerald deck with Morph, and even then you can still run Robin Hoods and still run a bunch of other stuff. So yeah, I just don't think it's worth playing him, at least now that people are starting to get off Medusa potentially. I've seen a lot of Ruby lists playing some Medusa and some Lady Tremaine, or a couple lists are playing 4 of both.
Which, seems a little overkill for me personally, but if they're really leaning into that control archetype,
maybe Beast can come back into the meta, but I imagine he'll be out for a little while, or won't be played as 4 ofs, or considered an unoptimized deck if you're not playing that card, which honestly is a good thing. He's $50-$60 something right now. Like it's about time he is not played for a little bit, and hopefully prices come down and people can grab him if they want.
100%. Yeah, like we saw with a lot of other stuff, like we're seeing a one-of Rapunzel. That's the only thing I don't like about this deck. I don't like one-ofs. I just don't.
I'm fine with one-ofs. I think, and especially in this deck, until I mean,
you've got a lot of filter in there. You've got a lot of draw there, so chances of seeing it.
Not only that, but most of your characters don't have a lot of willpower. No. Your Cinderella and your Robin Hood have to be your main targets for for Rapunzel, and like I'm sure sometimes your Ariel and your Benja get damaged. I guess you can run your stuff into things, but like I don't know. Drawing 2 cards off of Rapunzel is still really good though, and being able to bring her back with Hades is pretty good also.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't understand. Maybe I'm just too smooth brain, but I don't understand how you can equate the value of maybe seeing that 1 in there and putting that higher than just having a 4th Hades or a 4th Bare Necessities. That's what I just don't get.
Usually. Well, sorry. I can see where you're coming from on that. I think in this deck, it makes a little bit more sense, specifically because you're running Hades. and so like Hades is essentially like extra copies of Rapunzel or whatever you
Whatever's
need. It's
died,
just
yeah.
a toolbox card.
Mhm.
So I can see it in a deck like this that have acts that can get Rapunzel back if you want her.
Yeah.
But otherwise, yeah, I'm okay with 1-0s, but very rarely. It has to be a tech card, and it has to be a flexible card, and it has to be a card that I'm specifically teching for a matchup that I don't expect to see.
Yeah.
Like
And that's
a ton
yeah, and
of.
I don't know what Rapunzel is there. Like I don't know like what is her. What are you taking it? SB on there says that Robin Hood's a great Rapunzel target. Yeah, so play more Rapunzels then. Like if it's really that good, why not make it more consistent? Like
and I have seen some people after seeing this list basically say what you're saying and say, you know, I'd drop a Hades for a Rapunzel, or drop, you know, and one of the uninkable cards for just a 2-of for Rapunzel, and keep moving, which I think is fine. I think both, you know, versions would probably be pretty good.
Probably.
But I also think with this, I saw a lot of Zan when he tweeted about the deck today. He tweeted a lot about it. Mentioned that this deck sometimes lives or dies off of your Whole New World, and like when you can't find Whole New World, Hades is your other win condition essentially. So like having a bunch of Hades, either so that you can bring your aerials back and continue looking for Whole New World, or just like keep bringing back your shift characters and continuing to shift them, and create threats, I think is pretty big for this deck. So honestly, the only thing I can chalk it up to is just really smart and like 5-brain deck building, and in all the testing that was done for the deck, they realized that, I mean, Rapunzel's a really good card, and even if you can only run one of her, sometimes she draws lots of cards, and if you wheel her away, that's okay because you're running the Hades. You can pull her back if you ever need to draw a bunch of more cards. So I don't know.
Yeah, no, it's great.
This is one of those. It's one of those where I'm just gonna leave it up to the
100%
guy who won the deck to trust him.
Who knows what he's doing? Yeah, 100%. He also put a good tweet out showing some of the mulligan strategies and what you're really digging for based on the matchup, which is really worth taking a look at as well. It's really interesting data. All right, cool. So that was first place. Second place, it blows my mind to see a Amethyst Ruby deck called Anti-Meta. But this is the Anti-Meta deck that came in second. What's the meta that this is anti to?
Okay. I'll be honest. I don't know what is anti-meta about this deck because it's running just about every card that Ruby Amethyst like normally sees. I will say though, I think it's a really interesting Ruby Amethyst deck because although all of the cards are familiar to anybody that's been playing this game for any amount of time, it's very, I don't know if compact is the right word, but I'm seeing a lot of people when playing Ruby Amethyst are playing a lot of 2-ofs or a lot of 3-ofs and trying to like spreading the deck, playing a bunch of different cards. And this is a really tight list. Like there's a lot of 4-ofs in this list. There's only 3. There's 2 fish hooks, 1 crab, and 1 spellbook. Everything else is a 4-of, which is really interesting to see in this meta and the evolution of Ruby Amethyst and what people have been building out of it. And like I said earlier, he's playing 4 Tremaines and 4 Madame Medusas as well.
The whole thing,
which is pretty interesting.
I mean, this deck to me just seems to be, let's get some real early value, deal with early threats from the opponent, and then just lock down the end game. Like absolutely shut down the game from turn 5 onwards, basically, and then just it's why it surprises me that there's only 1 spellbook in there. I think because to me this is like I'm gonna make you do nothing while my spellbooks sit there and gain more.
Yeah, I agree because I saw a lot of people teching spellbooks, and it made like more so than I saw people talking about Lucky Dime, and maybe I just wasn't like in the right circles. But I was expecting a little bit of item anti-item stuff to go into this large tournament, knowing that Ruby Amethyst players were back on Spellbook. So that's why I find it interesting to see that there's only one, because I would have thought there would have been at least two, knowing that Sapphire is getting really popular and has options for item removal, and you're likely to see some Steel being played, which also has options for item removal, and it already was playing item removal with Rise of the Titans. So I find it interesting that there's only one, but it worked out. They seem to do really well.
Yeah, it's great. I excuse me, sorry. The only thing I would maybe try differently here is probably dropping the Crab for a second spell book, because Fishhook is kind of doing Crab's job. So that's the only thing I would do really. But again, I just don't like seeing a one-off. I don't dig it. I personally would, I'd drop Crab and play a second spellbook, and I don't think that would push Inkables too high. 4, 8, 12. I mean, that's my only real worry with this deck is there's a lot of high end on Inkables, so you get a crap mulligan.
Yeah, you're already at 17.
Yeah, you might this list. You might be really bricky. I mean, 6, Tremaine, Medusa, and Be Prepared, all being uninkable in that top end of your deck. If you you've got to really nail your mulligan here, really, and hope not to draw too many of those early on, because otherwise you could get real bricky.
Which is a really great, I still think, and will continue to say, I think the mulligan is one of the most skill testing parts of this entire game. And there's a reason why somebody can run 17 uninkables in a deck, or 20 uninkables in a deck, or 21 uninkables in a deck, and make it so far. Is because they just know their deck in and out. Not only do they know their deck, but they know their opponent's deck and what it's likely trying to do against theirs, and knows exactly what they have to see and mulligans correctly. So yeah, it's interesting. I always enjoy seeing deck lists that are so tight like this, because I just feel like so frequently we see top players, teching a lot of different cards, and like I mentioned, we've seen so many 3-ofs and 2-ofs that at least to me it can feel like your deck isn't refined unless it's got a bunch of extra stuff put in it, and it's not super clean like this. But it's really cool to see that sometimes this just gets the job done. I
like seeing decks like this, because this is much closer to the sort of thing I would build, honestly. When I'm putting a deck together, I always start at 15 cards, a play sets of 4, and then I'll start wondering about what I need to bring in and what I can start shaving down for answers and stuff. So, and I try to keep it as flush as possible. I always do, because I prefer that consistency of knowing the 15 to sort of 17 cards I can pull out. So yeah.
One thing I will say about this deck that I just noticed is Edmund was really banking on people not playing Teeth. Which I think is pretty interesting, because we said people were kind of getting off of Teeth, and so it was a really good meta call if that was their thoughts behind it. But they can't do anything until turn 3 or 4 if their opponent just has Teeth.
Because whatever the turn 1 is shut down, it stops the snake. So instead they put down a Cusco. If that dies, it stops the fox. It can really break out without Teeth. I think that was probably a good call, because like I say, overall I don't think we're seeing that much of it in this list. And then we move on to Zach's list. This was top. It just says top 4. So did they draw them basically, or how did it work? Or did we not actually get a playoff?
I don't know. I'm
not sure if that's incomplete data or not. I don't know.
Let me look if Zach tweeted about it, because I want to say I remember him mentioning 3rd, but that could just be in my head.
Yeah, so I only remember him saying top 4, so I'm not sure.
Okay, maybe it's just in my head.
I was thinking he might have maybe been in the chat.
Yeah, it just says top 4.
But I guess he only watches the Illuminateer stream, which was awesome, by the way.
I don't know if Zach watches this.
The Illuminateer stream, I watch most weeks. I'm usually prepping this show while I have them on, and I enjoy it every week. But tonight they had a really good mix of commentators talking about this whole weekend, and it was awesome. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, top 4 at least, maybe 3rd, but top 4. this budget deck. This is
Budget deck, yeah.
Like,
I want to talk to Bivens about this because I want to know if he built this deck specifically because he thought it would be a really good deck to bring into this tournament, and it just happens to be like less than $100 a budget deck, or if he was like, I think Amethyst Steel would be really good this weekend, and I don't have all the cards that like I want to bring, so I'm gonna find the best thing that I can bring and bring it, and then did well.
I mean, I feel like it's probably the former than the latter, because it doesn't. If you covered up the rarities and covered up the value, it doesn't look like a budget deck. It looks like an aggro deck, and I think he's just. I feel like he's just thought aggro's probably a good shout in this slightly slower meta, and has built this out. And yeah, I don't know what could be swapped out to make it more expensive. Really, it's when your deck is capping out at 4, it doesn't really matter how much Tragic Heroes and Robin Hoods cost. Like maybe the Robin Hoods was the only thing I could maybe see going into this, that the 1-drop, assuming you're going to shift, just to would still keep it relatively low to the ground. But in a deck that seemingly doesn't really want to challenge that much, are you getting value out of that Robin Hood? At the end of the day, it quests just the same as the Prince does.
Yeah, maybe not.
It's in your head.
I mean, probably not.
There he is.
Oh, there he is, Lorcana Castle. Yeah, by the way, go subscribe to Lorcana Castle. That's Zach Bivens' YouTube channel. He covers...
Awesome.
He usually covers the lists he does really well with, and I'm really hoping he has a video in the chamber for this one.
I want to hear more about dive into this,
yeah. So go subscribe to Lorcana Castle. He's a really awesome player and does a great job at explaining, I don't know, how to get better at Lorcana, really.
100%. So yeah, this just really nice low to the ground deck. My favorite thing about this, honestly, is very specific to me. Is my boss has basically been playing this deck at locals,
cool.
Like mostly since set 2. I don't really think he's tweaked it much in set 3. But the only real things that have gone in from 3 are followers, Smee. Is that it?
Yeah.
So so like
Mr. Smee,
Mr. Smee and Chernobog's followers. So
oh, there you go. Yeah.
So like this is I showed him this and I was like, look, this did really well in a huge tournament. He's like, oh, this is like my list. I'm like, yeah, it is actually. This was indeed it was intended to be a budget deck. Oh well, there you go.
Oh wow.
So I wonder, like,
Zach's just built different.
Yeah, I think
that's all it is.
So I'll be honest with you. Me and Brandon have gone back and forth. Not gone back and forth. We don't really disagree with each other, but we've talked a lot about bringing guests onto this show and whether or not it's something we should look at doing. And I've never really felt the need, but I kind of want to just get like Zach on right now to be like, all right, come on, explain yourself.
If he wins another one, we have to, right? Like, we just have to be like, how are you so good at this game?
I would love a breakdown of this. Not even like how are you good? Like, clearly, some people just are really solid at the game. I want to know what goes through somebody's head to be like, I'm going to go and play in an 8K tournament. And I might as well give myself a limitation of building a budget deck as well.
Exactly. That's what I'm thinking, right? Like, this is a huge Lorcana tournament. I'd be bringing my A game. I'd be bringing like whatever cards I needed for this tournament, because it's going to be huge. There's going to be a lot of people there. And for Zach to just be like, I'm going to bring a budget deck. We'll see how it goes. And then top 4 is like... legend. I mean, I don't know.
On this one, I look forward to it, buddy.
Me too.
All right.
And honestly, I think it's before we move on, I think it's great to see a budget deck, just like a cheaper deck, do well at a tournament, because I know a lot of people can be turned off by like how expensive some of the decks can be. I know we've mentioned it 1 or 2 shows ago about how expensive some of the Ursulas was, and there were $600, $700 decks being played. in the format. And to see a less than $100 deck, Zach made a funny tweet about how you can buy one sad beast or you can build this entire deck. I think it's something that that you should point to your friends, when you want them to get into Lorcana and say, look, you can build really good decks for really cheap and have fun.
And that's the thing as well. I know we talk a lot about, the pilot versus the deck. And obviously, the pilot's doing a hell of a lot of work here, but but the deck still makes sense. I can look at this and I can see what it's trying to do, and I can see how it does it. This isn't like a huge mess, like 8 juggling balls of jank that you've got to pilot just perfectly to make it happen. Like you can see the lines. You quite easily you can see what it's trying to do. So good stuff. Plus one on this.
Oh, he said wasn't.
Wait, I'm so sorry.
This wasn't intended to be a budget deck.
It wasn't. Well, that makes more sense.
Okay. That makes more sense then.
Not intended to be okay, I'll let you off then because that's correct. That blew my mind when you just said that. To be honest with you. Put it together and then just realized it was. I mean, I suppose the end day you're not running any legendaries. There's a good chance it isn't
really,
that much, right?
really great meta call because especially after that, before I saw this list, but after I saw that people were running, like it was so red, blue heavy and sapphire and control heavy. I was like, man, aggro is going to be a great thing to pick up. So I picked up an Emerald Amethyst that I'm working on now. And then I saw this list and I was like, man, great meta call from Bivens, I guess.
Much smaller sample size, but an Emerald Amethyst, aggro deck won the tournament I ran at the weekend. Again, the exact same reason. There was a lot of Ruby Amethyst, a lot of Ruby Sapphire. I think it was like 4 or 5 Ruby Sapphire decks, 3 or 4 Steel Song, a couple of Amethyst Steel actually, but like higher end builds, a few people still trying to make Jafar work, that kind of thing. And Emerald Amethyst just absolutely ran under all of them. Absolutely ran under all of them. So it's good to see. And then the other top 4 was a Steel Song. A little bit more varied. Interesting to see Lantern back.
Yeah, I love lanterns.
Yeah,
I know there's a big debate between like lanterns or flutes, but I love both for different reasons. I think they're slightly different decks.
They are. I mean, this is you call this Steel Song, but it's clearly more of a much more character focused deck with with the Stitch package and and Big Tink and stuff. Like it's less focusing on the value and just winning through songs and more about sort of a stronger late game board presence. Even just one Chernobog in there as well, like just for fun.
I was hating on Chernobog a little bit, like early in the reveal cycle, but I've been really enjoying the like 1 or 2 Chernobogs in decks that I'll test. It's just something feels so fun about slapping a 9/9 with 3 lore on board on turn 6. And just watching your opponent be like, what do I do about this? And sometimes it pays off and sometimes he gets dragon fired and what are you going to do? But
that was my argument always with Chernobog during reveal season was it's just going to get removed by single target removal, but we're not actually seeing much single target removal at the moment, really. We're not seeing much Dragonfire. We're not seeing much Let It Go.
Not stuff that can hit Chernobog. I think we're seeing a lot of single target removal, but it's just missing the 9/9.
It's still that's it. It's still a lot of the damage focused stuff from Steel. Came Zeus and stuff. So there's very little that's actually getting rid of him, and we're just not seeing it played. And maybe if it starts to creep up and see more copies of Chernobog, you might. But I don't know. I still don't rate it. I still think it's a gimmick. Sure, it's cool, but I still think it's gimmicky. But otherwise this is doing everything it wants to do, really.
Yeah, I'm looking at the list. There's Robin Hood, Bare Necessities, Zeus, and Chernobog for the new stuff. So otherwise it looks really similar to older Amber Steel list. Like a lot of the same core stuff with Stitch, with Beast, Whole New World, Aerial, Lanterns, Storm Strength. So Steel Song's just good, I guess.
Yeah, it's just consistently good. I think that's it doesn't sound like a great way of putting it, but I genuinely think it is. It's just it's good. Like it's never
Yeah.
it's never been one we wrote home about. Like it's it's never blew anyone away. But I do just think it's a consistently good deck. Zach here says essentially the goal with his deck was to craft something that will crush the control decks, which I think is, obviously not easy to do, but you can really see that's what he was trying to do. But also beat the Straggler Emerald Amethyst decks with strength, a Raging Fire, and the high stat early drops like Smee and Herg. That's a really good point because that.
Yeah.
What does Kit hit again?
Kit hits things with 2 strength or less.
So yeah, you get a 3 down early.
And I saw Zach comment on this. Also, the Smees and the Hercs trade really well with a lot of the Amethyst stuff, like snakes and foxes and stuff.
Yeah.
So that's pretty good too when you're playing against those decks.
Yeah. The only thing I noticed about
Emerald Amethyst
with Zach's build is I'd love to get some comments on this. Running Smee with no hope of seeing a captain, like running Smee with no other captain in the deck. You're still just happy to get value out of him turning sideways each time and having him chip away, which is kind of crazy, really. That because that's the downside of the card is that it really needs a captain out. But I found
doesn't really.
Yeah, like I've been found in my testing when I've been playing him alongside something like Forceful Duelist or even John Silver when I mess around with Ruby Steel. A lot of the time, if I don't see them, I'm still sitting there thinking, well, yeah, I'm actually just kind of happy turning this sideways for 6 lore, really. And then it dies.
Lore,
that's fine, yeah. So it's a really good call, I think, just to be running him with no sign of seeing it or any other way to keep him going either, right? No other resist or anything, The only thing there's nothing in the deck, I don't think, that's going to keep him going, right? Yeah. So that's top 4, and then it's the top 8,
and then
it's
Ruby Amethyst.
1, 2, 3, 4. I mean, a bit of variation between them all, but not much really. Like it's a couple of Dragonfire on this one, Teeth again still. I don't think there's anything worth really pointing out on any of these. I don't think the 5th one down there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Oh, there's a Cauldron.
One down there. Yeah, Cauldron. I saw Baker from Lorcana Villain go a bit crazy over seeing Cauldron back. But yeah,
I feel like Ruby Amethyst. Like, I don't want to breeze past too quickly. It's Ruby Amethyst, because if you really do take the time to look at these lists, they are very different. They are varied. I think the issue is that the core of the deck is often the same, and some of the tech cards, although they can make a really big difference, are a lot of kind of the same things that are like rotating in and out. So even though like some of these decks are running Queen's Castles, and some of them are off Queen's Castles and playing Yzmas, and some of them are playing Tremaines over Medusas, and some are playing Spellbooks, some are playing Dragonfire. Like there's a lot of different stuff. Even within the 1-drop spot, there's like all kinds of different stuff that people are playing. The reason I feel like it gets boring and we just kind of glaze over it is because Ruby Amethyst has been good since set 1.
Yeah.
It's relatively the same every set so far. I say that. Ruby Amethyst set 1 and set 2 were very different from each other, but from set 2 to now is relatively the same, and it's just kind of like, what version of Ruby Amethyst is everybody on right now? So this the 7th one here is probably the most varied one, just because it's really leaning more into the locations. It's running 3 copies of Jim Hawkins and a couple of RLS Legacies, but again, everything that's wrapped around it is just the the sort of standard stuff that we're so used to seeing. So I was actually happy to have the 3 strength at Quest for 2. This is talking about Mr. Smee here. If they attack into him, then he likely trades, and if they don't, you can bounce him with Snake or Fox. Yeah, so you get 2 quests out of him and then bounce him with the Foxes. That's pretty great, right? Yeah. Awesome stuff. So yeah, nice big, a couple of nice big tournaments, lots of variation. Really
just great to see. I'm just so happy with the strength with the where the game is at the moment. I just think it's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like even with having such a large tournament, and I mean 5 out of the 8 top 8 decks Ruby Amethyst.
Yeah.
I think the difference between where we're at now and where we were in set 2 is it feels like you can walk into any tournament and win with a deck that's not Ruby Amethyst.
Yes.
I mean, it's happened multiple times now, and you can top and you can do well. You know, the Ruby Sapphire decks are doing well. We even see a Emerald Amethyst peak into top 32. In other different tournaments, we're seeing, you know, different results and things do well. So it's just exciting that like the meta is evolving. It has been evolving and been changing since the opening weekend. I expect it to continue to do so. And like that's what makes an interesting set, in my opinion. It's
100%.
not everybody knows what the best deck is now, and so we're all going to play it for 3 months.
I still feel like the reason we're still seeing so much Ruby Amethyst isn't because it's better than others. I think it's because there are going to be some people who are just kind of happy with the deck. They've put in 2 or 3 cards, but otherwise it still plays very similar, and they've just got it down, right? And for them, the consistency of the play patterns and their knowledge of the deck is more important to them as a player than trying something new or seeing what else is out there, right? Like, you know, and I think that might be why we're still seeing so more of it. It's almost like it's I'm not saying that it's necessarily weaker than it was, but I feel like it's partly a hangover from set 2. The reason why it's still around so much is not because it's still the best. It's just because it's still pretty consistent, and the people who are playing it know it well from playing it for the last sort of 3 to 6 months.
Yeah, and like you said, like it being the most consistent deck, I think it's just the safest pick, right? Like if you haven't put a lot of time into a deck, there's not one that you just really like to play more than the others, and you want to go into a tournament and try to do really well, I don't think you can go wrong with Ruby Amethyst. It's by no means like, well, there are matchups that Ruby Amethyst has that are bad, or like 45-55. Like it's not just a deck that wins everything, which is great. I just think it's the safest deck for people to play, which is why you see so much of it, similar to what you just said, like it being so consistent.
Stephen there says Inertia. I hardly knew her. All right. Anything else you want to chat about before we head out?
I can't think of anything. I think we kind of covered most of it. Unless I'm forgetting something.
No, I feel like this is the calm before the storm. I think it's I think next week we're going to be struggling to keep it under 2 hours. I think I hope at least we're going to have a lot to chat about. So
at the very least.
Sorry, go ahead.
At the very least, we'll either be able to chat about a lot of really interesting stuff, or be able to say, I can't believe this stuff isn't here.
Yeah. Either way.
Talk about it more.
Yes, either way, we'll have lots to talk about. Camille's made a good point there, just to cap off the Ruby Amethyst topic there. It's also the cheapest to upgrade if you've already got a lot of the stuff from set 1 and 2, and that's also a fair point as well. You know, if you're just throwing in some Queen's Castles, some fish hooks, you know, it's pretty good. So next week in Ink is hopefully going to be wild, but this isn't there next week. Next Monday won't be the next time we talk live.
No, yeah. So speaking of Lorecast coming this Wednesday and being excited about what's happening on my channel, I will be live reacting with Jonti, and just in case, St, I think is her name. I can't remember how to pronounce it correctly, but they will be joining me live on my channel to live react to the thing. We'll be watching it together. It'll be a VOD that'll be up immediately after the stream ends, so that if anybody wants to watch it, they can. But it's really just going to be like watch party vibes. It's going to be a fun little hangout. See what happens, talk with each other, be excited or be enraged, depending on what happens.
Exactly. You can watch it direct on Twitch, or you can come and listen to us tell you what to think about it.
And it'll be live on YouTube, or I'll be streaming it. I'll be streaming the live react on YouTube, on Twitch, on Facebook, and on X, formerly known as Twitter. So whichever one of those you want to watch, I'll be there if you feel like joining us and hanging out and commenting and all that.
It's gonna be good fun. I'm looking forward to it.
I am too. I think it's gonna be exciting. I'm glad they're doing this.
Me too.
It makes
Me
for
too.
a fun little event.
Yeah. Can we do a watch party of the watch party? You want us? So you want us to do a react? So next Monday we react to the watch party Wednesday. Yeah, but
yeah, Camille, I took off of work to do this.
Yeah, me too. I swap. Well, I just swap my day off. I usually have Tuesdays off, so I'm in work tomorrow, so I can have Wednesday off.
It kind of worked, fortunately, that I had to work late today because it like offsets some of the like makes more sense that I can not be at work half the day Wednesday.
That's good. Ready for them to announce the announcement? Yeah, wouldn't that be so good if the Lorecast came on? It was like, in 2 weeks' time, we're gonna
we'll post about whatever. Yeah,
that's great.
God.
Yeah, so we'll see you over in on B Squared 24. Link to that is the first link in the descriptions of this one, so make sure you head over there. And that'll be, when was it again? Let's put this back up.
It'll be 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 Eastern.
1 at a time. So yeah, exciting stuff. Looking forward to it. So I mean, I'm going to ask you what your week in Ink looks like, but we know it's that.
Yeah, it's that. Other than that, tomorrow I go to League, which is going to be fun. Like I said, last little starter growth league thing before we move on to other stuff, and then there'll be a draft. Well, we're doing a draft on Saturday, so that's going to be fun.
Yeah, I love draft.
I know, Steve. I need 2 packs. How many packs do you have left?
I have right now.
One now,
one, but you know
you do work
somewhere that has them. Although actually, I don't think we have any Inklands just out for sale right now. I think I've got a couple of boxes of Floodborn on the shelf, and that's about it. I'm not owning Floodborn.
Steven, tweet at me next week, please, when you see me tweeting about the show, and be like, don't forget a pack, because I'll go buy one then. I can't buy one tomorrow because it'll be opened before next week.
You gotta put it into your deck, yeah. Oh, you mean you just won't be able to?
Yeah, like I was just gonna say I'll just buy an extra pack when I'm at League tomorrow, but it'll be open before next week if it just lays around here.
Yeah, sounds good. Okay, thanks so much for watching. All the links in the descriptions where you can find us both. That's it. See you Wednesday when we live react to Lorecast. It's gonna be exciting. Until next week in Ink.
That was This Week in Ink.